Got the pen and the paper in your hand. Got the story going, but you wanted to expand. We'll help you on your journey, let us lend you a hand. Join the show. So let's write the book TV show. Grab your pen and paper and we're gonna let it flow. Talking about write the book TV. Join the show.
Welcome to Write the Book TV. I'm your host, Kimberly LeBou. Each week we show up here interviewing experts and authors about all things publishing and writing. And today we have with us a special guest, Ms. Melony Hill. Welcome to the broadcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And so you have several books out. So we're going to talk about the latest one first, and then we'll work our way back so you can talk about some of your other projects. So it's just a pleasure to have you here on the show. And so Writing for My Sanity, Gratitude and Intentions Journal. Let me say it right. Writing for My Sanity, Gratitude and Intentions Journal. It's your latest publication. You said it goes along with several programs that you had, and you also just won a monetary award to create a new program with it.
Yeah.
How exciting!
I'm so excited about the Gratitude Journal because it is the culmination of something that I had been working on since 2017, which was our writing workshop. In 2017, I launched a free therapeutic writing workshop titled Writing for My Sanity. It started here in the city. We were doing it up at the Impact Hub on North Avenue. And we had people coming from out of town just to come to this free therapeutic workshop that was held weekly. So it was for the community. It was like a labor of love. And so many people would come together that I ended up having to have an overflow room for the children because people didn't want to miss it. So they would come right after work, right after picking up the kids. And it became such a community thing that when the pandemic hit and we had to go inside, I had to find a way to revamp it. So we became a Zoom therapeutic writing workshop. And then we became international. So with the Zoom, it made me an international therapeutic writing coach. And we started having people come from Canada and New Zealand and the UK and the Netherlands.
Wow.
And it just became so amazing that I realized that I needed to continue this in a form that when I can't be with them, they can still do what we do weekly.
Yeah.
You know?
That's important.
And so the Gratitude Journal is the culmination because I recently ended the free workshop and I'm going to bring it back with a price on it. But I wanted them to know that even ending it, I wanted them to have something that they could take away.
Right. So tell us a little bit more about the actual journal. Like, what is it walking people through?
It is an opportunity to look at your life day to day and to see the beauty in it. You know, we have to ask ourselves hard questions sometimes, and people don't like to ask hard questions. But with this intention and gratitude journal, it gives you the opportunity to really look at yourself and be introspective, but to also go back and to look at the progress from month to month. So it's 3 months, which is 90 days, which is really a lot of time to give yourself to see a change. And so with that 90 days, going back and answering questions, utilizing the records of being able to see your progress, it really gives you an opportunity to see how much you can grow in just 90 days, just by setting your intentions, writing things down, and staying focused.
That's the important part, staying focused, right? So let's talk about the strength of a woman. I love the cover of the book. I just think it's so intriguing that you have the purples and it's just so fascinating. So how did you come up with that cover design?
You know, I find that so funny, right?
Really?
I put so much work into all of my book covers except that one.
Oh,
that
really?
was the easiest book cover.
It's so pretty.
I know, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it has such a beautiful aesthetic. But it was the easiest one that I did. And
that's good.
That's good. And it was so, and I think that's what it was. Like when I found the design, it was so beautiful. I didn't have to add to it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do much. I didn't have to shape anything around it. It kind of spoke for itself. You could see the strength just in the face, the eyes.
Yeah, and that's an anthology project, correct?
That and Rediscovery, I'm sorry, that and Reflections of a Survivor are both anthologies.
Yeah, I love anthology projects.
We
I
did
love
3
pulling people
under
together.
Strong in My Struggle. So there's actually Reflections of a Survivor, The Strength of a Woman, and Reclaiming My Time from the 9-to-5 Grind, which was for people who were starting their own businesses or ready to launch their own business and needed encouragement from people who had reclaimed their time.
Right. And so for The Strength of a Woman, can you talk a little bit about your vision for that project and what it was like for you as a visionary author of that project?
Yeah, for The Strength of a Woman, I really wanted to bring together women to just show that they had issues that weren't being talked about. Like, we have so many things that are just thrown out on social media these days, and everybody talks about like autism, but when we hear autism, no one talks about women and autism. It's so related to men.
Wow.
How often do you hear about a woman with autism? And so we have a beautiful, we have a beautiful young lady named Amanda Hernoff who shared her story of being a woman with autism. And so the way that she is so rarely seen, because when you go into spaces where autism is talked about, she's not included. And so having her sit down and share how outside of her own community she feels was beautiful.
Wow.
We also had a young lady who wanted to share anonymously. She wanted to share her story because she knew it could help others, even though she wasn't ready to out herself.
Wow.
Because she had been diagnosed with HIV.
Okay.
And she hasn't even told her own son if he's a teenager. And so it was beautiful for her to be so willing to be open and vulnerable and to share.
And I bet she was willing to be really transparent, not having to put her name to that.
Amen.
So I can see how that would bless others because it was her raw story.
We had people like a 48-year-old woman who shared for the first time her story of being sexually molested and abused by her parent, and it opened her up. She had never shared that story, and so she even had to tell her children before we published the book,
Yeah, but I bet there was a lot of healing that came from just her walking through that process.
And so The Strength of the Woman is 5 women, myself included, and there's one other author. And so it's beautiful just to have these women open up about things they had never felt comfortable sharing before.
Yeah, I always find it to be such a rewarding process when a group of women, I've done anthology with men as well, but women are more attracted to those types of projects, and it's just always such a refreshing thing when they get to release and pour out into a project like that. So that's why I wanted to know about your experience. And so I know you talked about like abuse and trauma that you suffered as a child. Do you feel like writing helped you to heal?
Writing saved my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the journals that I kept as a child. I grew up in a Black household where what happens in this house stays in this house, which is the biggest thing that I'm trying to break through strong in my struggles. However, not being able to speak about things, and even when I did speak about things, having them rejected, or having my mother stand beside me and call me a liar because it would break the facade. My journal was the only place I could be real. It was the only place that I had where I could cry, where I could speak, where I could heal. And I could see my growth, which is again why the journal and intentions and gratitude journal is so important, because it helped me. Writing saved my life. And when I published my first book, which is Writing from My Sanity, Emotions Purged by the Pen, it is a compilation of poems that I pulled from my journals that I had written over the years.
Wow, that's good. Were you able to see your growth in that process when you started to share that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. What was the most, of all your books, what was the most difficult book for you to write, and why?
I guess that would be Reflections of a Survivor, and it was because it was the first.
Okay.
And it was so hard to, again, it's an anthology, to not only open myself up and to share in writing. It's one thing to have a video, something that you can decide, people have seen us enough and I can snatch it off.
Yes, true.
But when it's in writing,
Perfect.
it's right.
Yes.
So being willing to share in writing certain things, and then finding other people to come together with me, to surround me with their strength.
Yeah.
You know, because it wasn't just about me, it was finding others to surround me and help me feel comfortable enough to share these things.
That's awesome.
You know.
Yeah, that's great. What do you enjoy most about being an author?
The connections. I like that I built a community around myself, because publishing these books has done nothing but continue to build community around me.
Yeah.
The books lead to workshops, lead to different things, and it's just, we have such a large global community now. Like, Stronger Than My Struggles is a global community, and the beauty in that, you know, I recently, I almost died in August. I had a near-death experience 2 days after my birthday, and I had to be hospitalized. 8 days of being in 3 institutions and not understanding what was going on with me was some of the scariest days
And I
of my
think
life.
that was when because you were supposed to come on an earlier segment, one of our earlier segments, that's right, you were.
Yeah, and it was so scary, but having my community members reach out to me from around the globe, you know, just to remind me that they're there and I'm not alone, was so important and so invaluable.
That's great. What have you learned about yourself through the process of writing?
It's not a shout out to my business, but it taught me that I am stronger than my struggles. You know, I used to be a victim, and I lived in it. You know, I really lived in my victimhood because I didn't know how to be stronger. I knew how to get things and how to achieve things because I stood on victimhood. I didn't know that standing on survivorship would be even stronger.
That's good. That's good. What advice do you have for a person that's out there who's wanting to write about something that they struggled with? And they may have some hesitation about releasing their story. What advice would you give? I've never had somebody to say that.
Seek therapy. Therapy, it was a really big change for me because I am legally, emotionally disabled. I had to go to therapy to heal through all of the things that had happened to me. And in therapy, I was there for 7.5 years, sometimes 3 times a week. Like, it became a job because I wanted to get better. And now I don't go to therapy. I don't need it. You know, I have to take some medicine now. But therapy, where I had that safe space to be able to say things, to not be judged, to not be invalidated, to have someone help me work out a plan to fix things. It was life-changing. So if they're not comfortable sharing these things, or they don't feel like, you know, they'll be taken seriously, or even the repercussions from their family, seek therapy and find out if they're healed enough to deal with all the things that are going to come along with that whole these things.
Yeah, I've had a few authors that I've worked with who actually had to go through therapy just to be able to write their story, to even be able to speak about their story. And so, you know, that's one of my favorite lines, that there's healing through writing. I say that all the time, it's healing through writing. And so it was just refreshing to hear you say, oh, go to therapy. Like, work that stuff out. Yeah. And so that's awesome.
Well, they need to realize that once they publish this book, they're going to go out, they're going to have to promote it. And people are going to ask them questions about the things in their book. And they can't break them. They can be emotional, but they have to be answering the questions. And so if they're not healed enough to talk about
it, about falling apart, crying, that's a good one. Because I don't think people think through that. It's like, once the book is published, like, that's not the end of it, that's the beginning of it. It's the beginning of it. And so it just opens up so many doors. And so if you're not healed while you're trying to do that, before you're trying to do that, then it could break you. Yeah. Wow, that's a great point. Okay. So what doors have being a published author opened up for you?
Well, like you mentioned at the top of the show, I recently won a monetary award, which is a $5,000 award, to continue the work that I'm doing. And with that, I plan to build a program around the gratitude journal. And so that's something that's really exciting for me. The opportunities to go on tour have come along. Like I did a 4-city mental health awareness tour back in 2019, right before the pandemic. And we took 30 Black women up and down the East Coast to talk about mental health awareness in the Black community. Wow. It was awesome. We hit Atlanta, Charlotte, Philly, and we ended here in Baltimore, where I got my first mayoral citation.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I got another from Mayor Brandon Scott last year from the Black People Rock Honors Award. And so that was kind of awesome. And so it's just really opened a lot of doors. And being vulnerable and willing to share my story helped me get into NAMI. Are you familiar with NAMI?
Yep.
So I'm an ambassador for the local branch of NAMI, which is Metropolitan Baltimore. And I also teach some of their classes, like peer-to-peer. I speak on their behalf, like in our own voice, and I go out into the schools and organizations to teach, speak on ending the stigma. And so it's really exciting for me because it's opened so many doors to me to not just speak about my trauma, but to open up and show resources for others in their trauma.
Wow. I always tell people, like, when you're writing, it just opens up so much. It's one of those things where you don't know until you're in it, like how big the community is, the support that's there, all the different avenues. And, it's not just about writing a book, that there's so many things that you can do to even branch off from being an author. And so that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear about you winning your awards and book signings and tours and all the things that come with that. What would you say is the most difficult thing about being a writer?
Having to do it again. Like people always do it again. They always wondering when's the next book.
When's the next? Yeah.
Like what are you putting out? And so, I try to sprinkle in some blogs and articles and stuff. Like calm down. Like, great minds take time. Right.
That's true. It's like what they say, the best way to sell book 1 is to write book 2 and 3 and 4. And so that's good. That's good. How would you encourage people to just kind of be bold enough to share, like bold enough to walk in?
Well, I can't remember if it's in Reflections of a Survivor or The Strength of a Woman, but the essay I wrote is called Learning to Love Myself. And I think that a lot of us need to do that. We look at ourselves through the eyes of others. We look at ourselves through what our parents wanted us to be or want us to be, what our children need us to be, what our job wants us to do, what our community sees us as. And that takes away from how we see ourselves because we're so constantly beating ourselves up if we're not showing up in every role in every way. And so I really think that, learning to see yourself through your own eyes and have your own standards and your own goals is so valuable.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm going to transition to a little fun stuff. Ask you just a series of questions as an author. Coffee or tea?
Tea always.
Tea always. Yay! Somebody else that says tea. I don't like coffee at all.
I'm a little embarrassed of my tea collection.
Oh, really?
It's ridiculous. I have a tea cart in my bedroom.
I love it.
Tea
I don't think I go that far, but I do love some tea.
I'm a little embarrassed of my obsession with tea.
That's awesome. Pen or pencil?
Pens, Sharpies, Bees, or the nice ink ones that you can dip.
Oh, I
yeah.
used to dip things that before.
Oh my gosh, I'm fancy.
Fancy. Desktop or laptop?
I prefer my laptop. I like to be able to go, sit in the park, be able to move, be around people. Writing is mobile.
Okay, so my next one was inside or outside. So I guess outside?
Yeah, I mean, how can you be creative when you're chained to your desk?
That's true. Like go out, experience some things, and it opens up your creativity even more, right? Paperback, Kindle, or audiobook?
Okay, so I really like all of them. So I prefer to flip through the pages of the book. However, every night I like to get in bed with my Kindle.
Okay.
You know, because it's easier to not fall asleep and have the book all over the place and stuff. It stops right where I ended. I don't have to worry about finding
that's
a
true,
page
too.
or anything. Yeah, so I go to sleep with my Kindle.
Okay. I'm a paperback girl. I have tons of books in my Kindle that are locked in there forevermore.
So, do you take advantage of your Kindle?
No, I
So let me
don't.
tell you one of the things that I do almost every night before I go to bed. I browse through the Kindle store. I type in the search engine, free books.
Oh,
And
okay.
every day you can download some of the newest books that just came out. Because most people publish their books and think about it. They do a free promotion for the
That's
first
true.
couple of days. So you can get those books for free.
I have to look at that. And I don't have even more books in my Kindle.
Well, it's been really beneficial, especially as AI and the Chat GP things came out. I was able to get so many books and learn so much.
Wow. Man, what was I going to ask you? Oh, you didn't mention audio. So do you not do audiobooks at all?
No.
Really?
No, I like audio on YouTube.
Okay.
I can sit and listen to YouTube videos while I move around the house all day. But I never stop to listen to an audio book.
Okay, yeah, I'll do audiobooks sometimes when I'm driving, and I like it when the author reads their own work. And so I found that several books. I mean, there are books that I have the actual hardcover of the book and get the audio, depending on who, if it's the author reading it. And then sometimes I follow. It's like the whole thing.
But it's my TI section.
Yes.
You have the author section.
Yes. So this has been really good. Is there any? So we didn't talk about. What's your book there?
We talked about.
Okay, yeah, we did hit on that. Okay, so I mean, we're winding down. I want people to be able to know where they can find you, where they can connect with you on social media, and so if you would tell the people where they can find you, that would be great.
Well, that's really easy. Like I said, I'm Stronger Than My Struggles, so you can find me on all social media under Stronger Than My Struggles. You can also go to strongerthanmystruggles.com, and as Kim said, I'm Melony Hill, so you can also go to melonyhill.com. Really
That's
simple.
Awesome. Yes, that is really simple. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much
This
for
is so
having me.
great. Yes, absolutely. Thank you to our viewers for showing up for another segment of Write the Book TV. If you're someone who's thinking about writing a book or you know someone else who should, send them on over to www.writethebooktv.com. We'll see you again next week.
Write the Book TV. Join the show.